like to introduce Payam Bozorgchami. So Payam is presenting the single family and commercial decarbonization elements of the 2022 California Code. Payam is the project manager of the 2019 and 2022 Title 24 Part 6 Energy Codes. He's also been a senior civil engineer with the Energy Commission, California Energy Commission, Building Standards Office since 2005. So you have a real depth of insight, and I very much appreciate you teaching us about what's about to happen. I've been playing a little bit, or my team, I should say, all of us have been playing with the software, the alpha software, and it's been exciting to see the new metrics and such at play. So
good. There's a lot still happening on that, but I'll get to that shortly here, if that's okay.
Please do, take the floor.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope it sounds like you guys have been having an exciting morning so far, and I'm going to bore you about 30 minutes of what's happening at the Energy Commission, and then we'll probably get back.
Not this crowd. This is serious nerds. You are underestimating how nerdy these folks are. We are up for this.
Wonderful. Good to hear. So with that, I'm going to start with a quick history of everything and why and where we're at, and if my computer decides to work. So just a quick history. Some of you guys may have heard this already. By the way, this is our new the resources building that the Energy Commission staff have moved into virtually. I think every staff has been there twice since it's opened up to us since July of 2021.
Beautiful. Is it all electric?
I believe it is, actually. I believe it is. So California Energy Commission, how did it begin? It began because of the crisis, the energy crisis of the 1970s. Two California Assemblymen, Charles Warren and Warren-Alquist, co-author what's known today as the Warren-Alquist Act. This act actually gives authority to the Energy Commission to develop the energy codes on a triennial basis and local jurisdictions to enforce these energy codes through the building permit process. In reality, the energy codes were developed to reduce the unnecessary, uneconomic, inefficient consumption of energy. These acts went into effect, and it was signed into law in 1974 by Governor Ronald Reagan, and it went into it was funded and went to development under Governor Jerry Brown in 1975 when he first came into office. In reality, this is how the Energy Commission started. One thing that the Warren-Alquist Act mandates us at the Energy Commission to do is when we come up with a proposal or we come up with an idea, it has to go through a rigorous life cycle cost analysis, benefit cost analysis, and it has to show a savings to the building owner. So all the proposals that we make, they all go through every little, we look under every little rock for any savings and any dollar savings that we can to the building owner. This whole idea was to prevent someone like me to wake up in the middle of the night and go, hey, I got an idea. Let's make the envelope as energy as efficient as possible, but really forgetting that, hey, somebody has to pay for this, and how's that done, and is there benefit to that person? Other than the energy requirements, recent legislation requirements are also bestowed on us to look at greenhouse gas emissions and look at how we can reduce greenhouse gas emissions. One of the requirements that a lot of you may already know is the Friedman requirement, the AB 3232 from 2018, that has made assessment that found it is feasible to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from residential and commercial building stock by at least 40% below what it was in 1990. This has to be done by January 1st, 2030, which doesn't really give us much time. I mean, there's a lot there that we have to do. But also one thing that we have to be careful and cognizant about is we can, at the Energy Commission, at our level, we cannot ban one fuel source over another. We can make it, we can show a cost effectiveness and one fuel over another, but we cannot ban it. That's not our purview. That's at the governor's level and beyond. So to meet these requirements that was been bestowed on us at the Energy Commission for decarbonization, staff identified 7 areas that we can look into and see where we can provide greenhouse gas reductions: building and use electrification, decarbonizing electricity generation systems, energy efficiency, refrigerant conversions and leakage reductions, distributed energy resources, decarbonizing gas systems, and demand flexibility. Currently, my belief is to really go to reduce greenhouse gases, you need to have a very energy efficient building. The integrity of the envelope is very important, and to keep that moving and provide less dependency to the mechanical system. And well, refrigerants too. Can we look at refrigerants and look at more efficient refrigerant systems that can get our mechanical systems there? We're looking at currently at A2L refrigerant types, which are flammable. Unfortunately, there are flammable refrigerants. We're working with the State Fire Marshal's office to come up with language and to come up with code requirements to prevent these catastrophic events happening if there is a leakage of this material. None of this could have been done. I mean, like I said, Energy Commission staff, we're just 8 of us doing this work, but we really needed assistance from others. And these are the folks that really helped us get to where we're at for 2022. Without their efforts, we would have not been able to get the energy codes in front of our Energy Commission commissioners by August 11th for their adoption. And after the adoptions of these codes that took effect in August, these became law, and this will go into effect in January 1st, 2023. There was a lot that was done between the adoption process and where we're at currently. We worked with the California Building Standards Commission to approve our regulations and have them be part of Title 24 that took effect December 14th of 2021. But still, that doesn't mean that we're done or off the hook for 2022. Right now, staff are working on getting the proper compliance documents in order. They're getting the proper computer modeling programs in order. There's a lot of compliance options, trade-off methods that we're trying to get into the computer program as fast as we can and get those ready about 6 months prior to the effective date. We also have a team of staff going out to local jurisdictions, to associations, and providing technical training. The benefits of heat pumps, the benefits of trying to get more efficient buildings, and how to do that, how to fill out the forms to really do the proper job. We also have to work on getting third-party verifiers in place to assist into looking into some of these mechanical systems to make sure they're working properly. The local jurisdictions, your building officials cannot do all of this. So these organizations are out there to help them. The highlights of 2022, these are a few of the highlights. The prescriptive baseline that encourages the use of cost-effective and efficient heat pumps was a key area that we really worked on. cost-effective behind-the-meter solar, electric, and battery storage standards for selected non-residential building types. For the first time in codes, I don't know if there's any other codes out there. I know there's not any in the international codes that we require PV and battery storage in commercial buildings. And this is really to introduce heat pumps as a baseline there.
Let me ask, Payam, the commercial buildings, it's not every single commercial building type, right? There are some exceptions.
Yes, I will give me two more slides. I'll get there, Sean. Okay, no worries. In the past, multifamily buildings were always a type of building that was always left behind. It was the backseat driver. Multifamily buildings were just separated between 3 stories and less, falling under not a residential building types, and anything over 3 stories was considered non-residential building or commercial buildings. We had one advocate, I think you all know him, Nehemiah Stone, who really pushed for years to get to have a set of standards for multifamily. And for this code cycle, we were successful to breaking out multifamily to its own sections in the building codes. Made the standards a little bit larger, but it's easy now. You only have to look at 3 sections, a mandatory, prescriptive, and additions and alterations for multifamily. And if you're only working multifamily, that's the area you need to look into. You don't need to look at the rest of the standards. And we really looked at our ventilation requirements. Indoor air quality was very important to us, and we knew the effects of gas stoves versus electric stove tops. So we really took a look at that for this code cycle. So as everybody knows, the star of 2022 is the heat pumps, which is electric technology that used for water heating or space heating. They are energy efficient. Help drastically reduce greenhouse gas emissions, provide opportunity for load flexibility while being cost comparable to other prevalent systems in the market. For single family, depending on the climate zone you are, you could use a heat pump either for, it depends on the climate zone, either for water heating or for space heating. We noticed in areas like down in San Diego region, heat pump space heating really is not showing cost effectiveness, because you know what? They don't use heat. They have a mild climate. They really don't have that high of energy consumption for heating, but they do for water heating. So for that area, we decided to change one end use to a heat pump, and that was water heating. Versus in Sacramento, I believe it's the space heating that's a heat pump water heating, is a heat pump space heating system. The commercial buildings that we looked at for full heat pump systems are your standard schools, offices, banks, library, retail, and grocery stores. Sorry. We expanded our solar electric systems plus battery systems to include performance standards baselines for selected non-residential building types. So these are the building types that for commercial buildings that do require in the baseline PV and battery. For the purpose of the standards, solar plus battery systems are sized modestly to help ensure that nearly all the electricity that is generated on-site is used on-site, thereby helping to ensure the cost effectiveness of the system over time. One thing that we really wanted to make sure is we don't really disturb the grid. That was one of the key areas our researchers, most of you may already know him, Mazi Shirok and Bill Pennington, really wanted to make sure that the that we try not to use the electric grid as our battery storage systems. For residential, updated codes to include additional electric ready requirements for residential buildings by having a dedicated circuit and panel accommodation for easily enable installation of electric appliances in the future. So like I said earlier on, we left the fuel source as is, but we made it easy for somebody that wanted to do some sort of fuel switching, make it easy for them, and it makes it cost effective for them to do so. Your clothes dryers, if you have a gas water heater, you're able to convert it to electric heat pump if you wanted to. Space heating, cooking, your cooktops. For single family homes only, the energy storage ready requirements will include also a minimum electric panel size requirements of 250 amps to accommodate future electric loads. We knew that there's going to be a cost associated to updating your panels if in the future you wanted to update any of these systems. So right off the bat, for cost effectiveness, we require that at a minimum you have to have a 225 amps to be able to capture all electric systems that is going to be applied into that home. Your EV cars, again, all the appliance change outs that will be there, and there needs to be also a space available in that panel for those changes to take place. So one of the major significant changes that we did for indoor air quality is the kitchen ventilation. The new standard recognized the difference in pollutants created between natural gas and electric cooking, as well as the role of indoor air quality in pollutant concentrations. So we really upped, depending on your fuel source for your cooktop, we changed, you have different requirements for your fan systems. There was a lot of done here too. We also, within the indoor air quality, we really wanted to look at the mechanical system and see how that was working properly for pressurization of the buildings. So with everything that we did, here's a summary of our savings, environmental benefits for 2022. So with our calculations, we believe that there's about 10 million metric tons of CO2e savings and over $1.5 billion in emission benefits that was accumulated from these codes changes this code cycle. One thing I did forget to say is this code cycle, we really took we really try to tackle the control environmental horticultures. We really tackled the industrial systems, the process systems. We looked at refineries. We looked at steam traps. We can't get rid of refineries at this time in California, but can we make them work more efficient? And this is an area that we're looking into. We looked into for 2022, and we're going to be looking into 2024, 2025 codes also. So here's our decarbonization trajectories. We know that there's a lot that we got to do in the industrial sector. And that's what I'm talking about when we're talking about the food processing plants and the refineries and anything that has to do with industrial type buildings we need to take a look at. Residential, this code cycle, we're going to be looking at existing buildings when they come for additions and alterations, or for alteration for both commercial and residential. We're really going to be trying to tackle that this coming code cycle for 2025. The areas of recycling and waste, Anyone has any ideas, please help us out. We'd be more than happy to take any recommendations. This is the Energy Commission greenhouse gas emission reduction scenarios that we've been looking at. How can we do this? Where can we go? Is the black line really what we can do or cannot do? Can we do aggressive electrification? Probably can. Can we do it in a way that shows cost effectiveness? Probably so. These are all ideas that we need to look into, and we will be looking into. These are our 2025 energy code potential themes. We're going to be revisiting heat pumps and refrigerants one more time, see where we could capture more. Additional alterations. We are looking into ways to make sure that someone doing an alteration to an existing building can be more energy efficient, not only, but also how can we get them to become more carbon neutral. Process and industrial, energy storage, electric vehicle readiness, and EV credits. Can we provide a credit for someone who has an electric vehicle? We're looking at energy accounting, and health and safety coordinations are going to be taking place with all state agencies. We will be doing a lot of communications with our partners at DSA, Division of State Architects, who oversee our school programs and our school buildings and our state offices. There is work that we're going to be doing with our housing community development to really make sure that we look at ways to make it easier for the underprivileged communities to meet energy efficiency where it does not really cause a burden on their pockets. A person does need a new mechanical system. How can we get it to be more efficient, more cost effective for them to convert to a heat pump system versus just doing a complete change out like for like? For that, there's a lot of research happening right now at our level here, the Energy Commission, and at the federal level to help the Energy Commission out. We're looking at means and methods to introduce vacuum insulated glass with a low U factor and SHGC. We're looking at means to look at envelope insulation and how can we up the envelope insulation or build a better type building of in the future for not only newly constructed building but also existing buildings. We're looking PG&E's actually partnered up with us, and we're looking at cold climate heat pumps, the effects of cold climate heat pumps. How do they work? Are they as efficient as they say it is? And we're looking at areas in the industrial sector that we can change to show more energy efficiency and see how we can affect the greenhouse gases. That's all I have. There's a lot happening currently for 2025. I could say that we're working on the weather files. We're updating our weather files. We're taking the global warming really serious, and our climatologists are really looking into that to see what it takes to get that properly into our metric so that we can update our TDVs. One thing I did forget to say is our baselines have changed for our performance packages. Our baselines are now based on heat pump baseline, electric heat pump systems, which will make it more difficult for someone that comes in with a gas system because they have to provide energy efficiency to make up that difference. And I don't know where they're going to be able to find that. The envelope is tight as it is. Lighting, well, there's requirements for lighting. It's mandatory. LEDs, what are you going to do? It's going to be very difficult. Good luck to them.
So, woo! Yeah, Payam!
Woo!
Nicely done.
Thank
Can
you.
I throw some questions at you?
Please.
All right. So Eric Concanon asked, with regard to weather files, can the standard start to look at predicted weather rather than historical weather?
We are, first of all, Eric Concan and I used to work together in 1992. Hi, Eric. How are you? Yes, we can, and we are. We're working with a couple of the famous climatologists to be able to capture that. Michael Roth and also Joe Wang, who will be evaluating that for us in the near future to see how we could capture that and how can we implement that into our TDV metric on a timely, what is it, on based on a hourly source degree days.
Okay, excellent. And I know that just, Redwood Energy, we've been working with Tom Phillips and Nehemiah Stone. You mentioned like this is a big deal because when we were trying to do zero net energy project predictions and using the old weather files, we're seeing that the big issue is that we're having much larger air conditioning loads than expected because of heat waves that started like in 2014, 2015. We're just blowing our energy models out of the water. Like, yeah, it's pretty real stuff. Cora Pantarad was asking, Payam, can you talk a bit more about what you see changing from the 2022 code to 2025 regarding electric vehicle readiness? I assume that's for commercial and multifamily.
Yeah, we're currently evaluating that. We're working with E3 to see how is the proper way to provide some sort of a credit in our modeling programs to provide EV systems for commercial buildings. And also we're doing the same thing for residential. We're right now, we may not wait till 2025. This may become a compliance credit within the 2022 model, but it will not be right off the bat. There's a lot of research that's still happening. It's funny you brought this up because yesterday is the first day we had a meeting on this topic with our consultants to see how we can implement this into the code. So stay tuned. This is still new to us and we're trying to figure this out.
Tom Phillips, actually, who I name dropped a second ago, it's sort of expanding on that, saying, are you looking at extreme weather files, for just the way you do for TDV, like extreme days when there's heat waves? There's that question about the heat files being tied.
We're looking at the extreme. Oh gosh, this is going to be hard to explain. Yes and no. We're going to have to base it on some sort of a standard deviation and see where that lands. But we are taking that extreme weather into consideration when we do evaluate our TDVs and to evaluate our weather files for TDV. Yes. I don't know where it's going to land. This is still work in progress, but we will be having a workshop on it and we will notice that. So please participate.
Gary Farber had a question. The draft residential compliance manual says that that the heat pump prescriptive requirement does not apply to alterations and additions. If this is correct, do you believe that the heat pumps will be standard for residential alterations and additions in the 2025 code?
That is an area that we need to look into. There's a cost associated to fuel switching. It's not just putting a system there. It's the wiring that you have to bring from the control panel. They run on a 220, and a lot of the older buildings in the 1970s, 1980s, and 90s are not set up for heat pumps. And does it show a cost effectiveness to do that? Or if somebody does it in the performance, they could get a credit, sure. But to become a prescriptive requirement, we're going to have to look into that. I'm sure we will try to figure out a way to get them in there, but I don't I don't know what the crystal ball is telling me right now.
Fair enough. Okay, let's see here. We're at the 2 o'clock, so I have to usher in our next presenter. Thank you so much, Payam. Woo!
Thank you.